right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to go exploring in some of the darkest corners of the internet to really break down modern horror stories, the kind that blur the line between what seems plausible and what's just impossible. And these aren't your typical campfire tales, you know? They are these really intricate nightmares that tap into our deepest, most modern anxieties.
So, let's start with this chilling idea. It suggests that, the ultimate damnation doesn't happen in some big flash of lightning and a puff of smoke. Nope. It happens with a handshake, a signature, and a series of what seem like perfectly logical decisions. And that's where we get this idea of rational horror. It's not the fear of a monster jumping out of the shadows, right? It's that slow, creeping realization that you have rationally, logically chosen your own destruction one piece at a time.
So, let's meet our guy, Marcus. He's at absolute rock bottom. His business has failed, his family's gone, he's got a foreclosure notice staring him in the face, and his setting is so normal, a coffee shop, which is what makes the offer he gets so jarring. The man he meets isn't some demon with horns and a pitchfork. He's this polished professional who talks about, get this, spiritual equity financing. The devil really is in the details, and the details are all in the fine print.
And this is the anatomy of how it all falls apart. It's not a single fall from grace. It's a series of calculated business transactions. It starts small, right? 10% of his soul for $1 million to save his family. Seems pragmatic, doesn't it? But then the problems, they start to feel engineered. Oh, you need continued success? That'll be another 15%. A private investigator stiffing around? 30%. And then a sudden, aggressive cancer diagnosis? That's going to cost you 35%. With every single step, the cost of saying no feels so much greater than the piece of himself he's giving away, all the way up to that final buyout.
And this line, this is the gut punch. This is the true cost. When the original Marcus asks the entity for his real name, this is the horrifying answer he gets. See, the deal was never just about his soul. It was about his entire identity. The man who was once Marcus Chen has been completely hollowed out and replaced, becoming just another well-tailored suit in a coffee shop offering a deal to the next desperate person. Okay, so we've just seen what happens when the horror is coming from inside you. Now let's flip that on its head. We're shifting from the fear of what you might become to that unsettling dread that the people around you are not what they seem. This is the horror of the uncanny.
This story centers on this really strange classmate named, of all things, Dor. And as you can see, there are two versions of him. At school, Dor is like a perfect machine. Impeccable grades, always on time, but with these stiff, kind of unnatural movements. But then there's the Dor the narrator sees at his home. A sick, frightened-looking kid with sores on his skin and legs that just bend the wrong way. The contrast is so unsettling. You just know something is fundamentally wrong here. Well, eventually, Dor and his family just disappear, vanish without a trace. Years go by, and curiosity finally gets the better of the narrator. He goes back to that bizarre, unfinished house, finds the front door unlocked, and heads for the one place he never checked, the basement.
And down there, the beam of his flashlight lands on something that isn't human. Not bodies, but 3 incredibly realistic, genderless mannequins, perfect copies of Dor and his parents. Next to them, their clothes, folded into perfect squares. And the most chilling part? The narrator's old English notebook, just sitting there, untouched for more than a decade. So the question isn't what happened to them, it's what were they? Just empty shells for whatever was pretending to be a family?
And if you needed any more proof, here's the final nail in the coffin. The narrator tracks down a guy who used to bully Dor. And the bully reveals that this small, strange kid calmly recited his entire life back to him. Full name, address, phone numbers, even his email password. Dor wasn't just weird. He was something that could see right through the facade of human life, probably because he wasn't part of it at all.
All right, deep breath. We're about to shift gears hard. We're leaving the psychological and the uncanny way behind for something raw, primal, and physical. This is visceral horror, that heart-pounding, absolute terror of being hunted.
So our narrator has this unique job. He's a Johhatsu, or a night mover. He's a professional who helps people vanish. And the rules are super simple. No lights, no noise, and absolutely no questions. Most of the jobs are totally routine. But the last one he ever took, yeah, that one would break every single rule.
He takes on this one job for a family that feels off from the start. The father is rail-thin and pale. The mother is just silent, with these sunken eyes. As the crew is finishing up, one of the movers cuts his hand on a nail. A small accident. But in the stale air of that old apartment, the smell of fresh blood is about to trigger something absolutely terrible.
That's when the family's teenage daughter, who'd been hidden away until now, just appears. The second the scent of blood hits her, she transforms. In a flash of savage speed, she lunges, sinks her teeth into the man's neck, and tears his throat out before anyone can even react. And just like that, the job is over and the hunt has begun.
What follows is just pure chaos. The parents turn feral, and the narrator just bolts. He scrambles up the fire escape, literally fighting off the girl who's chasing him. He manages to get to the roof and barricade the door, waiting for sunrise. But his only way out is back down. The stairwell is now a slaughterhouse, just filled with the shredded bodies of the building's other tenants. He has to fight his way down, confront the girl, who is now healed, at the front door, and use her own body as a shield to crash into the sunlight, which, thankfully, turns the creatures to ash.
Okay, wow. So let's just take a second to breathe. We've just gone through 3 wildly different kinds of stories, right? Each one is terrifying in its own unique way. But what is it that makes them work so well? Let's break down the anatomy of the fear they create. What we're looking at here are basically 3 different flavors of fear. Marcus's deal with the devil, that's psychological horror. It's a slow burn where the terror comes from watching a man willingly sign away his own identity. The story of Door is uncanny, that deep, unsettling feeling you get when something familiar, like a neighbor, is revealed to be just a hollow imitation of a person. And that Johhatsu job, that's pure visceral terror, a desperate, bloody fight for survival against a very clear and very present threat.
But why do these stories stick with us? What is it about them that just gets under your skin and stays there long after you're done reading?
And maybe that's the real secret. Maybe the real horror isn't the demon or the mannequin or the vampire. The story of Marcus is about our fear of losing ourselves to our own ambition. The story of Door is about our anxiety that we never really truly know the people around us. And the Johhatsu's escape is our most primal fear of being hunted, just made terrifyingly real. In the end, maybe the most unexplainable thing isn't what's out there in the dark. It's what's already been inside us all along.